Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are still on the module Business Decision Analysis, and this is the third course of that module. The third, the course 3, titled Decision Under Certainty. Okay, we are running this series, and I'm still yours, Kingsley Ejiofor. As we proceed, let's go into the course fully. Business Decision Analysis with Certainty, presented to you by yours only, Kingsley Ejiofor. What is business decision analysis? What is certainty? We're going to break this in details and use case studies to explain this so that we can drive down understanding, so that even freshers can be able to get this course and understand it with clarity. Certainty is a situation by which you already have a pre-knowledge of what the outcome will be. So you are certain of the possible outcome from such event. Now, business decision that involves certainty is where the decision makers can be able to say with clarity, with certainty, with a certain degree of assurance what the expected outcome from that business decision will be. So let's go deep into the course. Business decision analysis with certainty. All right. What is decision analysis with certainty? Decision analysis under certainty is a management decision condition where the decision maker or decision makers knows with certainty the consequences of every decision alternative or choices. So I've explained in prior courses that every management decision comes with expected alternatives. There are always choices in life. There are always choices to every business decision. And these choices are what we call the decision alternatives. So you either do this or do that or do that. So each of the decision alternatives or choices have corresponding consequences or possible outcomes. Now, decision analysis with certainty is where the decision maker knows with certain the expected outcome. Remember, we have treated business decision analysis under uncertainty, and we use scenarios to explain what it means. Now we are going deep into certainty. This is mostly based on historical data. So when you're dealing with decision analysis under certainty, what made it certain to the decision makers is because of some past historical information they are aware of. There are some information earlier gathered on the subject to be decided on that gave them a pre-understanding of what the expected outcome will be, and that gave them the full certainty to be able to say that based on these conditions, that this decision analysis is going to turn out in this way. So decision analysis under certainty is mostly based on historical data and the comprehensive knowledge of the system. It usually results in only one possible trusted outcome being the final decision to be made. Decision under certainty simply means that the decision maker or decision makers are focusing on the outcome that has the highest return on investment or the outcome that has the lowest cost. Now, decision with certainty or decision generally in a corporate setting can be viewed from two perspectives. So there are decisions where the investor or decision makers wants to maximize profit. So they make decision looking at the expected monetary value that gives them the highest return on investment or payoffs. But there is another version to be considered during decision analysis. And that is when the decision makers are trying to cut down costs. So they look at the alternatives available to them and they focus on the decision alternative that minimizes their costs. So the decision alternative with the lowest cost output becomes the chosen alternative. In both cases, whether you're looking at maximizing profits or you're looking at minimizing losses or costs, both aspects can be used in excellent decision analysis. Okay, let's use an instance to drive down this point. For instance, Mr. Gabriel Ejiofor has reached retirement age in civil service. His retirement package has been paid and he wants to invest 1 million US dollars from his retirement payment into a secured system with a guaranteed high return on investment. In 2012, he wanted to invest. There are a couple of investment alternatives with certain possible outcomes he can invest in. He can invest in fixed deposit with 7.5% interest rate. He can put his money in a savings account with a 3% interest rate, or he can also invest in the central bank's treasury bill with a 20% interest rate. Now, looking at these three decision alternatives, each of them, not drawing a comparative analysis right now, but each of them individually will give him a return on his investment. So, looking at it from a layman's point of view, these three decision alternatives will not give him any loss. So, the three are expected to give him a return on investment. Now, the rate of the return is what we don't know. Now, let me draw this on a chart. If you are drawing this on a chart using a decision tree model, you will have something like this. First, there's a decision to be made. 1 million is available cash down, 1 million USD, and he wants to invest. So the first is that he has to decide, should we invest in the first alternative, or should we invest on the second alternative, or should he invest on the third alternative? Remember, each of these alternatives will give him a good return on his investment. Now, he has to do a comparative analysis on these three decision alternatives to be able to say with certainty. Remember, this is decision under certainty. He has to look at these three alternatives with certainty to be able to draw a final conclusion to know which alternative best maximizes his output. So decision one is to fixed deposit, to use fixed deposit, to invest his money in fixed deposit. The second investment alternative is to put his money in a savings account. And the third investment decision alternative is to put his money in the central bank's treasury bill. Treasury bill. Now, as earlier stated, these three alternatives will all give him good returns. So the fixed deposit is known at 7.5% returns. The savings account is known on 3% returns. So the fixed deposit is 7.5% returns, and the savings account is 3% returns, and the treasury bill is 20% returns. 20%. Now, these three options are three decision alternatives. available to him. He has to make a decision looking at these three to be able to maximize his profit, knowing that whichever one he invests in should be able to give him profit. If he goes with fixed deposit, he will have a 7.5% returns. If he goes to savings account, he will have a 3% returns. And if he goes with treasury bill, he will have a 20% return. So no loss will be made here. With certainty, he's assured of that. No loss is made. But the option is now, which one should he choose? Remember, under decision with uncertainties, it's not easily visible what alternative is the best. There are a lot of calculations which we explained using probabilities of occurrence to analyze. We explained that when we deal with uncertainties. Now we are dealing with certainty. If you look at it, it's clearer which decision can give him the best output. Okay, so let's go back and do more justice to the options. Okay, which of the alternative should he choose? After reviewing the possible investment alternatives and their associated outcomes, Mr. Gabriel knows with certainty that investing in central bank's treasury bill has the highest return on his investment. When he factored in the compounding interest, if he leaves the investment for another 10 years, he was filled with smiles. This is a clear case of decision analysis with certainty. He has looked at the three alternatives available to him, and he knows with certainty that this alternative gives him the highest return on investment. And that is exactly what decision makers look at. So it is clear that central bank treasury bill at 20% return on investment is far much better than the fixed deposit at 7.5% on returns and the savings at 3% returns. So the decision alternative is clear. This is a clear case of decision under certainty, where the decision maker knows with certainty the possible outcome for each decision. First, there are two certainties here. One, he's certain that if he makes investment in any of the three choosing alternatives, there will be return on investment. So his capital is secured. What he's now looking at is at what percentage returns is more favorable. So the first certainty is that his capital is secured and there will be returns. That's certain. Then he now knows the second certainty, which we have just seen by placing these three alternatives on a decision tree. What we just drew earlier on is called a decision tree, but we'll explain the decision tree in full when we get to the course. So with clear view of the three options, he can clearly see that a 20% returns from a treasury bill makes more profit. However, some decisions are laden with high level of uncertainties, and each decision alternative cumbersome with uncertain possible outcomes. This will lead us to the next type of decision making. For us, as we move into the next course and discuss with certainty and with more examples. Thank you for hanging around with us. I remain Kingsley Ejiofor, and this channel brings more information, knowledge, and understanding to you. Thank you and have a great day.